Welcome to the Car Sim and Race Driver Show, presented by Hugh Hattrick. Drive fast and try not to crash. Good morning and welcome to the Car Sim and Race Driver Show with me, Hugh Hattrick, and my very special guest. It's our second ever female racer on the show. It is Annie from Snail Racing. Good morning, Annie.
Good morning, you. How are you?
I'm very well, and thank you very much for putting your time aside this morning on a very busy schedule to fit us in here at the Car Sim and Race Driver Show. So
No
tell me,
problem.
how did it all get started?
Larry saw Lando and Max having so much fun in iRacing, and I think it was a day or two after he saw that, the wheel and the pedals arrived at home. And that's how we started. We started with I can't even remember now, with the Thrustmaster pedal sets that you get, and he bolted it to his office desk
Oh yeah.
with a single screen, and the pedals, and we still use the office chairs, and that's how it all started. And slowly but surely, it just grew from there. And I think but at that stage when that happened, our youngest child was still very much a baby, and I didn't have the time or the energy to do anything apart from being a mum. So he started long before I did, but eventually, as she grew up, I got behind the wheel as well, and just absolutely loved every minute from it. And that was just a total snowball effect, and that's where we are today.
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic.
So iRacing is really your main kind of sim game that you play, kind of thing. Is that the main one that you do, or do you do others as well?
No, it's just iRacing purely because we don't have time. Literally, because of the kids. Like I just said, our kids are still very much mommy and daddy dependent,
Yeah.
and we only have between 9 and 11:30 each night to do
Mhm.
everything that we need
Yeah.
to do.
Yeah.
So there is just literally no time for me to try anything else, because I would
Mhm.
like to be as good as I can in one sim.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, so yeah, it's only iRacing.
So, and how do you find iRacing? Because it's quite different to other sims. I mean, there's a huge like Gran Turismo community, a massive Assetto Corsa community, but it also obviously iRacing is pretty big as well, and it's very structured, isn't it? You have the same times for races at night and so on, and it's pretty hard, isn't it? It's not and maybe a game you can just jump into. I think you have to have a bit of practice in it to kind of get used to, because it's very stringent on how they run the
Yes.
races.
Yes, with iRacing, you are racing against real people. It's not AI, so
Yeah,
you are racing against real reactions.
yeah.
It's not AI reactions, and that makes it a little bit more difficult. So yeah, you do really need to go through the rookie stage. A lot of people try to rush through the rookie stage just to get to that D or C or B license. At the end of the day, the license is not going to help you with your racecraft or your times or whatever. You
Mhm.
need to learn to control the car, and that's partly what rookies is there for. And then you've got to work out your progression after that. I found that if you jump straight from the Mazda, which is in the rookie stages, to an F3 car,
Mhm.
or one of the faster GTE cars, um, you most probably will be able to do it, because don't get me wrong, there's loads of people out there who have loads of experience and they might be able to do it. But if you're an absolute rookie like I was, you
Mhm.
are going to struggle. I mean, iRacing is the first sim that I've raced, and if it's your first sim and you've never done ACC or AC before, or any of those other sims, you are going to struggle.
Mhm. Mhm.
um, so yeah, iRacing, and what we love specifically is the structure. 9 o'clock there's a race, or 11 o'clock there's a race,
Yeah.
and you can schedule your personal time around that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it seems pretty good. I was watching some of your videos there. One that you just did a few days ago, which is when you're your first time in a Formula 3 car, and I think it was
Yes.
around the Hilton Park, and you
Yeah.
won. You ended up winning it. You had two races there, and you were third in the first one, I think, and you won the second one.
Yes.
And it was fascinating watching it, because I think it was the second one where there were literally cars going off everywhere
Yeah.
on that start finish straight, kind of small bit. and they were spinning off, and somehow you managed to avoid them. And I thought, my
Yeah.
goodness, that was well worth it. And then there were people spinning in front of you as you went further on into the track, and all sorts. I mean, they are hard tracks to get used to. Do you think iRacing is probably one of the most realistic sims that you can get out there?
To be honest with you, I can't really answer that question because I've not tried any other Sims. So, in my opinion, at this stage, yes, it's very realistic for me. Keeping in mind, I'm not a real life racer,
Mhm.
so I don't have anything to compare it with.
Yeah,
I don't know the difference. For me, it's so as realistic as it's going to get. Um, and I love it because at the end of the day, in real life, if you are going to go onto the grass with a Skippy or a Formula One car or a Formula 3 car or whatever, you are going to spin out. That's what
yeah,
happens in real life, and that
yeah,
happens in iRacing as well.
yeah, yeah.
For me, it's very realistic, but again, I can't say I can compare because I've not tried any other sim.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. But of course, you have actually been out on I saw your video at Knockhill where you were driving in the wet, and in a Formula Junior kind of style car, proper single
Yes.
seater car, and that was up there, and you did pretty well. I mean, again, it wasn't great conditions, and you kept it all on the tarmac. And how did that feel? Because now you've obviously been doing sim racing, and then your first experience with a real single seater.
I have to admit, I think if it wasn't for the sim racing, I would have struggled a lot more because before you were allowed in the single seater, you get an instructor and they take you out in the Honda Type R Civic. And just the lingo that they used, I understood everything he said.
Mm,
I think if it wasn't for sim racing, I would have really struggled. Even corner entering, the apex, way to brake, all those sort of things. Sim racing definitely helped with that.
yeah, yeah. And you find that there was did it feel when you were actually behind the wheel that it felt almost similar to be in the sim? Did it feel like, because obviously the viewpoint that you use, all of that, did it kind of give you a thing, yeah, this is kind of how I imagined it? Or was it very different?
No, it is different. For me, it was different. It's much more scarier. My adrenaline was just absolutely through the roof. I think for me personally, it was a case of, okay, I can actually physically now get hurt if I mess up.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, your field of view is totally different. Um, Obviously the feedback that you get from the real car is a lot different than what you get. But then again, I can't really compare because I don't have a direct drive wheel.
Mm,
So
mm,
that might change once we get the direct drive wheel. But at
yeah,
this stage, I can't really say
yeah.
that either.
No, it was a great video to watch, and for all our viewers here, I strongly recommend going over to Annie's channel at Snail Racing and make sure you subscribe to it because it's a great channel, great to see all the videos and to see how you're progressing up through the ranks on iRacing as well. And obviously, you were incredibly enthusiastic. You could tell the adrenaline was flowing because when you got out, you were like, well, it was like a victory getting out, which was great because it's so exciting, isn't it? It's like
No,
nothing else
it's
you've ever done.
No, it's absolutely. Like I said, I've done some crazy stuff in life before, but this is definitely it tops it. It's absolutely that adrenaline rush. Next time I'll definitely go faster. I was a little bit, like I said, I was a little bit nervous. I was a little bit scared. But next time I'll definitely put the foot down on the throttle.
Yeah. Well, you sound like you were going pretty fast, to be fair. And you were saying that they were recommending that you only really stay in third and fourth gears in the real car going round Knockhill.
Yes,
And that
yes,
now, they've got the big hairpin at the end of the street, at the back street at Knockhill.
yes.
Was third gear kind of low enough, or did you manage to, because you think that would be quite a high gear for going around a hairpin?
No, no, no. It was fine because what they did, they're actually very good at Knockhill. They on the left hand side, like in sim racing, they've put all the markers where you're supposed to brake and gear
Right.
and shift down. Because just before the hairpin, there's a straight where you go up to fourth,
Yeah.
and then they do have little markers on the side of the road where you should apply brake and then shift down to third,
Mm,
and then where to apex and turn in an apex, and third is
right.
absolutely fine.
They're really
I
quick.
think they do that because obviously there's a lot of people like myself that's not experienced whatsoever, and if you go down to second or first, just
Mm.
you might spin the car
Yeah,
out.
you might lock the wheel, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah, that kind of thing. But that's what we were doing before when I did it 20 years ago, but more than that, nearly 25 years ago, 26 years ago. And it was a lot more basic in those days. How did you find, because you had to rev the engine as well to change down a gear, wasn't it? To do your kind of heel and toe. Was it, or, when you do go from fourth to third, was that something to try and get used to, or did you
no,
just shove it in gear?
it was basically just clutch in, drop the gear, and let the clutch go as soon as possible.
All right, so you didn't have
So
to rev it.
it's no, it's
Ah,
not heel to toe. It was definitely not heel to toe. It's basically clutch in, drop the gear, and there you
and
go.
then, well, that's all right.
So yeah, no, but yeah, like I say, I struggled in the beginning to downshift to get the, because it was manual,
Yeah,
but it was on the right hand side as well, and I'm normal,
nice, it's different. Yeah,
it's
yeah.
different. So but yeah, you get used to it. Like I said, it took me 10 laps, but I got used to it.
Well, that's pretty good going. I mean, I think a lot of people who have done that day would always recommend it because it
Yes,
does seem to be, great fun. And Knockhill have really, they've put a lot into it. We normally
yes,
try and go for the touring cars when it's on. Of course, couldn't do
yes,
it this year because of the corona, but we went there
yes,
a few years, 2 years ago, and it's a great, it's a kind of experience like no other. Because like Silverstone's quite, you've got everything you need. It's very organized, and it's, because it's on the flat, it's easy. But Knockhill being on a hill,
yes.
it's maybe not got all the things you would maybe want at a racetrack, but it's great fun and very, very exciting.
No,
Um,
I mean, they've definitely evolved. I mean, a few years back, I was at Knockhill. I did the skid control course on the skid pan,
all right.
and it was they've definitely evolved. Since then, the facilities are absolutely fantastic. The coordination of everything is absolutely fantastic. So they've definitely improved.
Yeah. Oh, that's good to know. And because no, it's a great track. It's really Scotland's main racetrack.
Yes,
That's really their only kind of real place because we've got an old racetrack near us, which was Charter Hall. And people like Jim Clark and Fangio and Sterling Moss, they all raced round it.
yeah,
Closed in the kind of in the 60s because it kind of phased out. So we've got this amazing history just a few miles from where we are, and we would love to eventually see it restarted. That's kind of the hope of many enthusiasts around here, that to
yeah.
get a proper track over here on the east side would be incredible because it's a massive amount of land and it would be a spectacular racetrack if they ever did put some money into it. But no, it's great. So, what is your favourite combination on iRacing? What do you?
uh, the Skippy on Road Atlanta. It's definitely Road Atlanta is definitely my favorite track. I've got about three. I've got to be honest. I've got about three. It's Road Atlanta, Phillip Islands, and then of course Zandvoort, where I got my very first win. My very first win ever in iRacing was at Zandvoort. So
Fantastic.
those are the three tracks. But if I'm learning a new car, I always take it to Road Atlanta.
Yeah.
So that's definitely. But I'm loving the Skippy. I don't think I'll ever drop the Skippy. I'm doing some VRS in the Merc, and I did Little Wings now in week 14, and it was so much fun. I'm going to try and sort of create my own Little Wing series this season, where
Uh-huh.
I'm going to try the F3 and I'm going to try the Indy Pro. When I do know the tracks, because I'm so new to iRacing or sim racing that I don't know all the tracks.
Yeah.
So for this week example, I've got to learn a track. And then, yeah, I might give the LMP2 a go as well. We'll see.
Ah. Uh, those of us in the know, or I say those of us who are not in the know, what is a skippy? Just to confirm.
It's a Skip Barber. It's a open wheel one-seater car. It was no
All right.
downforce. It doesn't have
So
any
no stretching
downforce.
wings, so no wings on the front or the rear.
No, there is a wing at the front and at the rear, but it's just there's no in the settings on your setup. There's no downforce or anything.
Ah, you can't adjust it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Ah, no, that's good to know. I have to say, I've never tried iRacing. I have seen it and people play it, and I've seen some people who've done videos on it. And I think it was here he is, Rory Alexander. He did a big one on in the Mazda MX-5s because I think that's when you start. And
Yes,
it was
Masters.
great fun actually, and I like the way it's so stringent because it means you have to drive properly, you have to drive
Yes.
well, and that's what you want to do. Because in real racing, when you do your license, you have to
Yeah.
they'll ban you if you have accidents and cause
Yes.
or are dangerous.
Yes.
It's a good thing, and it's great to see it kind of going on. So from Mazda MX-5s, all of a sudden you've got a huge selection of
Yeah.
vehicles. Do you find that your races are also, there's a lot of people in that race that you'll be in, like at 9 o'clock on a night? Is it quite a busy field?
Um, excuse me. It depends because they've got so many different time zones. Larry normally, he normally races the earlier races, and then by the time he races, he falls into the Australian time zone. So he would race against the Australian. South African, that those time zones. But by the time I get to race, I'm more with the European and UK folks. And by the time the Americans race, we're in bed. So um, it depends. But yeah, there is a certain time that we found that the skippy races are more, well, not just the skippy races, that the races are more, there's more splits. And that is between, 9 o'clock and 12 o'clock at night, UK time.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Oh,
you tend to have more splits.
yeah. Oh, that sounds great. So for all those wanting to follow, especially whether it be male or female, and they're seeing your video racing there, seeing you doing well on iRacing, what would you recommend is how they get started? And what would be your advice to them?
Um, Well, yeah, obviously with iRacing, it's a subscription-based sim. So get iRacing and then choose your weapon, because you've got road, you've got oval, you've got dirt road. There's so many sectors that you can try. So decide what you want to do, and if you are new, stick to one, because the minute you try, everything at once, you're messing up with your skills. You're learning bad habits, because
Yeah,
the Mazda is a total different car to the Skippy. The Skippy is a total different car to the USF. Every car is different. And I did that at the beginning. At the beginning, when I started, I obviously went through rookies in the Mazda and then immediately went to the Skippies. And then I had a very good coach actually to help me. He invited me to join him in endurance racing in the TCR. And I really struggled to switch between the two cars. I struggled to switch between the TCR and the Skippy, and I normally had to take 2 or 3 days before I could race the other car. So I would race the TCR on a Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, and then I had to take the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday to practice the Skippy again to be able to
yeah,
race on the Friday. So my advice is, pick what you want to do, whether it's road or oval or dirt, and go through the process, go through rookies and go through the natural process until you have the skills, because those skills will come, until you have the skills to switch between the cars.
yeah. That's pretty good. And in terms of subscription prices, what does iRacing cost for someone who's maybe starting out and looking to get involved?
The monthly subscription, I can't remember because it's now in dollars. I think in pounds it works out as 12 or 13 pounds a month.
All right.
Um, for the subscription. There's loads of free content, so by all means, you don't have to purchase tracks or cars, but there is content that you have to purchase. But again, the more you buy, you get discount. But if
Yeah,
you buy individual tracks or individual cars, it works out, I think, at $12, 12 or $13 for the car or the track. So each track is $12, each car is $12, sorry, pounds.
yeah,
But if you buy in bulk, basically,
yeah.
you
Get
get
a bit
you
more.
get loads of discount. But once you
Yeah.
have those cars and tracks, they are yours. You don't have to purchase them
Aye.
again in the next season.
Yeah, well, that's good. No, it sounds very reasonable. And I suppose one last question on there: do you need a very strong kind of PC to be able to power it all, or is it quite easy to run on something
Oh,
quite standard?
you're asking me technical questions which I don't know the answers to. Larry, my husband is the one that sets everything up. And the only thing I can say, if you go onto iRacing, there is a checker where they you can type
Yeah,
in
aye,
your specs of your laptop or your PC, and it will check if your setup that you have, your specs of your laptop or PC, is strong enough to run iRacing. But if you go onto the iRacing forums, there's loads of advice and help on what your PC can or cannot do and what you do need.
Yeah.
but I
Oh,
can't give you specifics because I don't know.
that's all right. No, I just wonder because that's, some people might have a basic PC, other people might have more a gaming PC, which has more power and things like that to be able to run it all. But no, that's good to know. As you say, they can go into iRacing and find
Yes.
the exact specifics to make sure that it
Mm.
all works. So, where do you see your future in the sport for iRacing and things like that? What would you like to achieve out of it?
Um, but for me, first of all, it's fun. It's about having fun. But I would like to be as good as I can be, and it takes a long time. I mean, we've got some brilliant folks in our community that's been on the iRacing platform since 2013. 2010. They've been racing for years and years and years, and they're absolutely brilliant. I mean, we've got people that's got world records. We've got people that's got 6,000, 7,000 I rating, and that doesn't happen overnight. I think people think that to get to a certain I rating, it's just going to be like that, and for some people, yes, it can because they might have the natural talent to do that. But for someone like myself, it's going to take a long time to get to that place. So at this stage, my next goal is just to try and get good, clean races, to get to know the car better, and hopefully by the end of the season have an I rating of 2,000. I'm currently on 1,500, but I do know that my I rating is going to take a big hit in the next 3 weeks because I'm trying new cars. So so I know my I rating is going to take a big hit.
Oh, I'm sure though it'll come up well, and you'll get faster and faster. And it sounds like you're wanting to do it really, professionally and properly. So I'm
Yes.
sure that's the thing. I mean, yes, everyone has spins and issues, but I'm quite sure you'll get used to them as quickly as you can, and you'll see the ratings go up. Well, I really appreciate your time this morning. I know you're on a very limited time scale there with lots of racing and things to do. So I won't hold you any further.
That's
But stay on the line just now, just for our viewers there. This is there. But you've been watching the Car Sim and Race Driver Show. To all our viewers and all listeners on the podcast, it's Annie from Snail Racing. So make sure you subscribe to her YouTube channel. And it's as easy as that. Just go to Snail Racing and click on the subscribe button to make sure that you subscribe to her channel. And of course, for the channel, the Car Sim and Race Driver Show, if you've not already subscribed, please make sure you do and share it out with all your motor racing buddies. But for Annie here today from Snail Racing, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the show. And please keep in touch with us, because if there's an iRacing series that you put together yourself as well, I'm sure we can publicise that for you and see if we can help to fill it up, and you can have a great championship as well. So thank you very much. Stay on the line. But to
Thank you.
all our viewers and listeners, drive fast and try not to crash.